Rick Grenell is joining us now, Special Advisor for Foreign Policy, National Security, but also a communications expert as well. And Rick, I mean, just off the bat, it just seems to me it's like they've got a kill list. Ron DeSantis happens to be on that kill list because he's a rising star in the Republican Party. So they had to allege that he committed criminal activity, that he was in a, here we go again, pay-for-play scheme with Publix supermarkets for a $100,000 donation to a PAC that they didn't even say when he got, by the way. Just at some point his PAC got a donation from a huge company based in Florida, and it must be because, you know, he made that scheme with 3 counties in Florida to give out vaccines. Rick?
Look, what they have to do in these situations is not give all the facts. And this is the agenda of the legacy media, of the big corporate media. And CBS really honestly needs to come out and correct the record and come clean. What 60 Minutes did should ruin their brand, because this is not the first time. And by the way, it only happens to Republicans. This type of game that the DC media plays never happens with Democrats. And if you look at the details of the DeSantis 60 Minutes interview, the Democrat from Palm Beach was offered up to 60 Minutes to say, I will talk to you about the decision. And not only did 60 Minutes say, we don't want to talk to that guy because it goes against the narrative, they actually put on the air another voice from somebody who completely denied what they knew to be true. So I think that this is not just a mistake. This was a strategy to try to go after DeSantis and throw some mud on him. And CBS needs to come clean. And there needs to be consequences for this. We can't just allow this to linger. We have to fight back.
I was going to say, here's what CBS said, Rick. They said, as always, as we always do for clarity, 60 Minutes used portions of the governor's over 2-minute response that directly addressed the question from the correspondent. But that's not true, because that's not what directly addressed the answer from the correspondent. That's the false part of this. I mean, that is completely false. And we have the entire response. We played it in the first half of the broadcast. And what bothers me about this is, first of all, Florida has had an excellent rollout of the vaccine. I got a vaccine in Florida at a Publix. Okay, so I'm an advocate. All right? Number one. Number two. Go ahead.
Can I say this about Publix, Jay? Yeah. If you live in Florida, you know that Publix is the most popular grocery store. It's on every corner. It would have been a tragedy not to use Publix. Of course. People would have said, why aren't you using the one that's everywhere? And the Publix has given money to Democrats, more money to Democrats, actually, than Republicans over the years.
Yeah, it's Florida is known for Publix. You go there. I mean, in this little town that Will and I, practically grew up in, there were 2. It was a town of no one. So I mean, this is an absolutely ridiculous point of view from people. They again try to spin the narrative. I think Rick is right. I would love there to be some kind of accountability from the news, not just, well, he answered the part. I don't think we're looking for yes and no answers when it comes to these type of accusations.
Yeah.
And
they're accusing him of criminal activity.
They just clipped the beginning, a weird part in the middle that makes no sense, and then the end to make him look like he's this raving crazy governor. And it's absolutely insane. And I really dislike it, because he gave one of the few times a politician actually gave a pretty darn good answer. 3-minute answer that really laid out all the claims, and it was just, it's infuriating when you watch it in the morning.
I think
the first thing when I got up, I watched it and was just so upset because this is the problem.
Yeah, and for Rick, I think for our audience too, if 60 Minutes gets away with saying this is what we do for clarity, we just cut out the portion that is important. But if they get away with it, this same producer gets away with it, the production team, not just the spokesperson, not just the host who is, not just the correspondent, but the producers who are putting all this info together, and they get on to next week, well, they're going to go through the hit list. So it was Ron DeSantis this week. Who are we gonna allege criminal conduct about next week that we need to take out that's a Republican on the rise, and the next week, and the next week, and so yeah, I get that a lot of our audience is moving away from this, but it still is highly influential media.
This is an amazing point, and it's something that we can't let go, and we should think about at ACLJ what role we could play, because I'm tired of the outrage machine, we all know we talk about 60 Minutes for a couple of days, and then we go back to allowing CBS or NBC or ABC or NPR, which just had another flub, to just go back to the same old game that they play. What can we do to stop this? And I will say this, we need senators to stand up and start doing something. Stop the tweeting, stop the outrage machine, and do something. Because if I were an elected senator sitting in Washington, D.C., and this happened, I would be hauling CBS in to say, what's going on, and why are you playing the role of an advocate rather than the role of journalist?
I was thinking there's one thing we could do, and that is this, because it's in the public interest. They are broadcast license holders, as Logan said. They own stations. Yeah. So the FCC, unlike cable, the FCC does have authority. We could. We got to research it. People could file a complaint with the FCC for misrepresentation of intentional misrepresentation of a story, and not correct, or at least saying correct it, or in X amount of days we do this.
You should look into it. You should look and see how you can actually fight against this. Because look, where are the Facebook fact checkers now? It's these are these ridiculous things.
But, it's like
just double standards.
FCC lawyers, but Rick, you talk about the ACLJ. We have FCC lawyers on staff. Colby Mays, senior lawyer at ACLJ. Huh?
Clarify what that
I think we should do something.
Well, no, they're lawyers that deal with the Federal Communications Commissions on a regular basis, representing TV stations like TBN and others.
Yeah,
so these are
over-the-air broadcasters.
These are over-the-air broadcasters, and Colby May from our office, the senior counsel for the ACLJ, is an FCC expert. And you're right, Rick. I think we probably do need to look at what can be held accountable here. The outrage on this one, just though, coincides to me with the outrage over the Major League Baseball game, because they move it out of Atlanta. Now, they move it out of Atlanta because of the Georgia's voting law that was passed by the House and Senate and signed by the governor. So they move it to Colorado. Okay. So our friend Senator Tim Scott sent a great tweet. He said, Georgia, voter ID, yes, 17 days of early voting. Colorado, voter ID, same voter ID, 15 days of early voting. Atlanta is 51% black. Denver is 9.2% black. The Major League Baseball is moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta, which has more day of voting rights than Colorado. The wokes are at it again, folks. And I think this is the same problem.
It's a clown show in Washington, D.C. These people, they literally just chase headlines. They don't do research. The rest of us out in America are laughing at them. But it's time that we really fight back and clean up. I'm sorry, but Major League Baseball made a very big mistake by entering into politics. They had been on the sidelines. They had been the ones that said, we're not going to participate in all of this political stuff. And I don't think that they should be conservatives. I think they should just be baseball. And they had been traditionally doing that, except for some reason, this new Major League Baseball commissioner convinced the owners to step in it.
Yeah. The owner, by the way, Major League Baseball commissioner that's a member of Augusta National. One of the more restricted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
We may need to call for his removal, because we can't just be outraged and talk about these issues and then go back and do nothing. We have to put our money where our mouth is. And I'm not saying that we have to boycott, because I know, we hate the idea of boycotts. That's against the cancel culture. It's against the ideas that we have against the cancel culture. But I do think that we have a strong voice, and we have to be consistent with that voice on what we buy and what we purchase and the services that we participate in. And I think it's high time that we collectively put our money where our mouth is.
As Rick said, this is not the fans. This is not the people working in the stadiums. These are not the people running the arenas. Who gets hurt are those people, fans, and people who are working at not great paying jobs. Those are the people that get hurt from these decisions, not, the big corporate overlords of the MLB. This is really hurting the people of Atlanta. People of Atlanta who are, again, selling hot dogs, taking your ticket. That's who at this point, taking your temperature. Those jobs are not super high-paying jobs,
right,
but they're needed right now. But as of course, we have to change all that. But it's not going to hurt the CEO at all, unless something like Rick says happens.
No, I do think we have to start just complaining, and now we have apparatuses to do something about it. Rick, as always, thanks for joining us.